Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you're new. I am the stepson of Krypton,
And I'm Mantis.
and today we are kind of switching things up. Now, guys, I know as it's a you, me, and DC channel, but I am the culprit. We usually focus so much on Superman, and as I've kind of learned as we've been doing the channel more and reading more of the comments, not everybody's the biggest fan of Superman. What people do seem to be a big fan of is Batman. So, today we are going to break down the anatomy of a Batman. What does it take to have a good Batman? Mantis, are you ready?
What is a Batman? Yes.
All right, guys, we don't want to waste a whole lot of time on the intro, so we're going to go ahead and get on into this discussion. All right, guys. So when we talk about the anatomy of a Batman, obviously we're not talking about his junk or anything. We're talking about what makes up a good Batman. What are we going to be looking for? Because we know obviously they are going to continue on with the DCU. Superman has done well enough, regardless of what you guys might think. Superman has done well enough that James Gunn has greenlit several more projects now to continue with this DCU. The biggest question that from what I gather from the comments and other videos that I see is people are what's going to happen with Batman now. Now, we know we have the Elseworlds kind of timeline, the Robert Pattinson Batman that kind of ties into the Penguin series that we got that was actually
Really
freaking
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
But James Gunn has on two separate, spaced well apart times that said Robert Pattinson is not going to be in the DCU. That Batman is not going to be in the DCU as far as the main story, whether they continue the Elseworlds or not. I don't know, just because, like with the Joker 2, a couple of the other DCEU-ish Elseworlds properties have not done well. But the question remains, who's going to be the Batman? When are we going to get the Batman? Now, if we remember, Creature Commandos had released before Superman, and everything is tying together. We got a glimpse of a Batman in Creature Commandos, and it had a very, very Batman the original animated series esque feel to it. And I even on the video had cut in when you see the initial lightning bolt and you see that Batman. This looked the same, which, given how the Superman movie went, leads me to believe that he's kind of gunning for, no pun intended, a more comic book esque Batman. Mantis, what
Yes.
are your thoughts?
I think you're right, and this kind of follows suit with the rest of his writing, keeping comic book accurate stuff. We see from the Superman movie, keeping with the comic book, true to the comic book version of Superman, along with a lot of the other characters there. And it kind of makes sense from what we saw in Creature Commandos. Because people describe the Superman movie character version of Superman as a mix between comic book and Superman the animated series type stuff, which is I totally see that. And I'm a huge fan. I know you are too, of the Batman the original animated series. Big fan of that series. It's great. The writing, the voice acting, everything is good. Animation's good. We did see. I think we did videos on the new Adventures of Batman or whatever it was called. That was released, a newer animated version of Batman. It was okay. There were a couple episodes that were good, a couple episodes that were kind of wokey.
If you got the 45 minutes in total, Batman was in the damn thing. Yeah, it was good.
yeah, they kind of missed Batman being in the show was kind of a thing there. We kind of stuck on, was kind of annoying. But I think I would, if you're going to do a crossover, I know it's not happening, as we said, it's Elseworlds is separate. That's fine. I don't think Robert Pattinson would do too bad as Batman. He does okay. Surprisingly, a younger version of Bruce Wayne and Batman is okay. Again, I know that film did really well at the box office. We were discussing this in another video. That movie doesn't really feel like a superhero movie to an extent. It kind of feels like a psychological thriller to me, which is okay. It's just not a superhero film. But I think that Batman would be okay in James Gunn. I don't know. It would be a stark contrast. I think Robert Pattinson would do fine, but I just don't think. I think he's looking for a fresh start, brand new writing, completely different version. Um, and if he's going to stick with the animated series Batman that we saw in Creature Commandos, um, I'm fine with that because I know it can't live up to is it I want to say Jason Conroy. I know maybe his first name's not
Kevin
right.
Conroy.
Kevin Conroy. God bless. Um, Amazing voice acting as Bruce and Batman in the animated series, and I like the way they depicted Bruce in the animated series. We didn't really get to see that side, and again, you get that with a longer running series. We don't get to see in the movies of Batman the real Bruce Wayne. When you see Christian Bale play Bruce, I feel is almost Bruce's. He's actually that's not the real Bruce. He's playing a facade of Bruce to, uh, like that's not the real Bruce Wayne. Obviously, he's got Batman, but Bruce Wayne, the Bruce Wayne he's playing in those films is not the actual Bruce Wayne. So if you look at it that way, it's okay. But you know, again, I think the best version of Bruce Wayne we got is surprisingly, aside from Batfleck, which I did like. Um, Ben Affleck's version of Bruce Wayne as an older Batman, I thought it was pretty good. But I mean, I like the OG Michael Keaton Bruce Wayne. I thought he played it pretty well.
And when we talk about the anatomy of a Batman, right, there are several key points, and one of them is the Bruce Wayne, right? How does he play Bruce Wayne? Bruce Wayne is normally thought of in the comics and the animated series as a genius businessman, very successful in business, but he also, is peak human fitness. I mean, he's in amazing shape. He's a super smart, world's greatest detective. He's all of these things rolled into almost where you're like, there's no way you could be all of them. Okay, you can't have everything. You're like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Twins. You just can't be like that jacked and that smart. Right? It's not a thing. But then we also have with Batman, we want to see how he is as Batman. We want to see the suit and we want to see the Batmobile, right? Those are all kind of the anatomy of what makes up a Batman. And like Mantis had said, when you look at Michael Keaton's Batman, he had that serious tone of Bruce Wayne. You could tell he was a businessman. He was real focused on that. And when you look at Batfleck, now there is the parts where when he's talking to Clark and he's like, the Daily Planet, do I own that one or is that the other? And he's playing kind of the Playboy billionaire. And of course, he wakes up and he's got the chick in his bed, and it's just a one night stand. But then you see in like the Batman v Superman, he's really worried about his team. He's trying to get people out of there and out of the building, and he's running in there. Okay, so we get those different sides, and you realize, he kind of puts on a facade sometimes for the cameras, but then he's this smart businessman, and he cares about the people that work for him.
Gotham too,
yeah, in Gotham, right? And that's his whole hatred of Superman in that, right? So you kind of want to see that versus the Christian Bale. They played Batman where he's just so like, it was so far out there that I did not care for the Dark Knight trilogy's portrayal of Bruce Wayne. I thought it didn't do the character justice, right? I'm a little bit of a snob that way. I feel like you have to have, with Batman, it's really important you have all of the components that just work.
Yeah, because Bruce is such a big part to Batman. Because again, this is why I say like it's almost the reverse. Like we talked about this with Superman a little bit, where Superman is the mask and Clark is the real person, but it really is that way with Bruce. He's mentally fucked, right? Like his childhood got fucked, really scarred him. So for him, Batman is him. That's who he is. Bruce is his alter ego, essentially, right? It's the other. It's reverse.
And it's kind of like if you remember in The Dark Knight when Rachel leaves him the note and she's like, I said if Gotham got to a point where, they didn't need Batman, we could be together. And she's like, but now I realize that there's never going to be a point where you don't need Batman because that's who he is.
But now I'm sure the day won't come when you no longer need Batman.
Yeah.
Right. Now I know I'm paraphrasing. I know I didn't quote that verbatim, but that's the thing is, Batman is who he is. Bruce is his facade, just like you said, opposite. So, it's kind of different. And then we look at Robert Pattinson's Batman versus Bruce. Well, Bruce is kind of a little all over the place. Like we're like, is he rich? Is he, what's going on with him? And then his Batman, obviously, he's struggling. He's, it's year 2 technically.
Mhm.
So it's, pretty close to year 1. I mean, he's still fucking up a lot. He's not doing great as far as stealth and everything like that. He's learning.
Mhm.
And I always compared it, I told Manson, I compared it to like when you watch Casino Royale with James Bond. He's not James Bond in that, like what we know of James Bond. He's learning, right? I
Yeah.
give him the same credit, but what I did love in that one, and that's another key thing with Bruce, is you saw the intelligence detective side of him, right? Like he had the contacts, and he's replaying and checking out the scene of things that maybe he didn't notice, but when you watch it back at slower speeds, you can catch.
I don't do much fighting. I get to the crime scene after it's happened. Just gonna poke my nose around, take some notes, talk to the cops.
Kind of like we do when we watch these videos.
That's what I really like in a Batman. Like I will say, and you guys, if you're following us with our Absolute series, this is why I really kind of started enjoying the Martian Manhunter series, because I like the detective noir type stuff, and maybe that's what draws me to the Batman. The Elseworlds version of the character is it's very full on detective stuff. Even in the animated series, he does a lot of detective work in that. It's figuring out what's actually going on. I really dig that shit. So if James Gunn leans into that, I'm all for that.
The Batman, and just my personal opinion, kind of had similar Watchmen vibes, like that noir kind of like, darker detective-y kind of like, granted there's, super powerful characters like Dr. Manhattan in there, but when you got down
Right.
to Rorschach, like it was kind of like that, right? Because
Mhm.
he obviously was super strong and everything. That's kind of how it was, and I'm okay with that. Now, it's funny you bring up Absolute Batman. I kind of want that in my Batman. Like, I mean, in Absolute Batman, he's like 400 pounds, just this cock diesel motherfucker. And that's why it gets me kind of excited is in my mind, I'm picturing Alan Richardson, right? Playing Reacher. He's played Aquaman in Smallville because, I mean, Alan Richardson, 6'3", 250 pounds. And playing Reacher, I mean, he is just a powerhouse. That's kind of what I want my Batman to be. Because even in the animated series, like there's a episode where like Bruce and them are working out, and you see he's just, I mean, he's benching crazy. He's super strong. I want that built Batman versus Michael Keaton. He didn't really give to me that you're going to be wearing like an 80-pound suit, jumping around and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Sorry, Mantis had to mute for a second there. Thor is getting a little crazy because he loves Batman too.
He knows we're talking DC, and being Thor, he does not like that at all.
Yes. Yeah, but he does love Batman. So
He does.
he's struggling with it, right? He wants to chime in on the conversation. But I want that. I want that powerhouse Batman
Alan
that
Richardson
is
could do good.
intimidating. I think he would do good. Really good.
I think
He also
Alan
played
Richardson.
Hawk in Titans.
I want a
Use your word.
detective-based Batman that is like a combination of like all of the Batmans we've seen. Like, is that too greedy? Like,
and here's where I struggle with Batman is I feel like if you get everything, like you are asking too much, right?
I know.
From one person.
I know.
Because I need somebody who has the physicality, but I also need somebody who can act well enough to play the smart detective and make it believable, right? Like, back in the day when we grew up, all we had for a super jack dude was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, right? Neither one of them you could barely understand. The acting was kind of like okay, yeah, like Terminator. You said 4 words,
5'10",
and
that's all
stuff like that. Versus now, like you have people like that. So yeah, I need him to be able to have the physicality to look jacked, but to have that where you believe that he's a super smart detective, but a savvy businessman, and then play the vigilante. I feel like with Batman, you're almost asking too much.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's enough there to play with. I think what's going to be the interesting thing, because you mentioned this about Ben Affleck's version, because essentially that's when the Justice League started, right? His version of Batman was when he's joining the Justice League. And if you guys are following along with our Justice League series and you've watched the series, the animated series Justice League, as well as even, like I just mentioned, Ben Affleck playing Batman's, when he joins the Justice League, he starts to become a leader, a a team leader of the Justice League. He takes that upon himself in multiple iterations of the Justice League. In any facet you see Batman in there, but he's not that way. Obviously, he doesn't have a team to work with. Essentially, Robin kind of comes in there. It's whatever. But he's more centric, and you don't get to see that side of him until later on when he is a part of a team like that. He's a natural leader. You do kind of see it with Wing Enterprise and stuff. It's just I don't necessarily need to see that as Batman a singularity, but if he's going to be inside of the James Gunn universe along with Superman and along with the Justice Gang and stuff, you're going to have to start. I don't know where they'd put him at in his journey. Like, is it going to be young Batman? Is it going to be older Batman? You just have to factor that in a little bit.
Remember when we did the video, supposedly Gunn wanted a slightly older Batman.
Okay.
Now, I don't think it's like Batfleck where it's 20 years into more the Frank Miller, darker side of Batman, but he wanted the older Batman because realistically, like you had just said, when he joins the Justice League, he is older. He's not he is still out there kicking ass, but he is more the leader, up on the watchtower. Again, he's got these powerhouses like Superman and Martian Manhunter that are taking advice from him, right?
Yeah.
He is leading and, he's providing the intel and things where he's not just fighting street crime, on his day to day anymore. So I think going with the older Batman, that makes sense, right? Oh, hey, yeah, now, the whatever has been up there now, and now it's like, hey, I want to recruit Superman.
And you mentioned this in your notes here. I want to see the comic book style. I don't want to see James Gunn break from what he's already established with Superman. I don't want to see a realistic Batman. We're getting that with the Batman, the Elseworlds. I want to see comic book style Batman. I want to see the goofy pow and the slow punches but you know what I mean. Like, I want to see Batman be comic book Batman. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see.
If we talk about Batman Forever, if there's one line I like in the entire movie that almost gives everything else a pass for it doesn't, but is that when they're on the little makeshift island thing with Miss Freeze, and he's like, "Holy rusted metal, Batman!"
Yes.
I was like,
"Holy rusted metal, Batman!" Huh? The ground, it's all metal. It's full of holes, Holy.
Oh. And Batman's like, he's like, what? He's like, the metal, it's holy and rusted. Like, but him saying "holy rusted metal, Batman" is so comic booky.
Yes,
I loved it. It was absolutely. I honestly could not stand Chris O'Donnell as Robin the way they did him. Right? I think Chris O'Donnell is a good actor, and was at the time, but I did not like everything else. But when he said "holy rusted metal, Batman," I was like, yes, at least something is in there.
Quick, pass me the anti-shark repellent spray, right? Yeah. Like, it's just like this goofy shit that
that's what I want to see, right?
Yeah.
Is have that kind of stuff. Like, you don't have to actually do a pow or something, but make it similar, right? Bring it into a grounded, but it like with Superman, it's got to be comic. Like when he saves the squirrel and they do the close up of him grabbing the squirrel, you got to do something like that, right? Like he punches the dude and they slow mo down, but then you hear Robin like "pow," he says it, whatever, however you.
The villain gets a one up on him and he ties him up and he does the villain trope, and Joker always captures Batman, ties him up.
And then does a 15-minute monologue.
Yeah, he'll take his belt off of him, because the funny thing is, I noticed this, and this is so smart. If you watch the first season of the Batman animated series, this happens in the comic books too, but you can really see it in the animated series, because the first season is like 50 episodes long. But like at the beginning, when they capture Batman, the Bat always captures him, or like Mr. Freeze will freeze him, or whatever. He gets in a dire situation where he's captured. Well, they just kind of leave him there, and then he always escapes like from clicking something on his belt, and he gets out of it, right? The later you go, they start taking the belt off of him. All the bad guys, like Croc, this is one of the most recent ones because I've been rewatching, is like there's an episode where Killer Croc escapes and he finds this carnival group, right? Well, and if you know the backstory, the original backstory of Killer Croc, he grew up as a carny, right? Well, so this is kind of a throwback to that. So when they capture Batman because they think he's there to hate on all the carnies, Killer Croc comes over and just swipes his belt from him so he can't escape. I want to see kind of stuff like that. Like it's just those little nuances like that that you get you kind of you pick up on throughout the series. And with Batman, I think that's one, again, like we said, it's one of the things that grounds Batman. He doesn't have superpowers. You take away, that's like kryptonite. You take away his utility belt. I mean, unless you're absolute Batman, where you've got all the stuff like sewn and surgically inserted in your body, you're kind of out of luck.
So good, dude. If you have not read Absolute Batman, we've got all of the episodes up thus far for all the issues leading up to, we are through issue number 10.
Yeah, so. And if you don't, we say visit your comic book store to get that, just because you want to support local comic book stores. If you're in the boonies and you have no one around you, it is on Amazon. All of the Absolute, the first 10 issues are all on Amazon. You can buy it. So,
yes, but if you can, support your local comic book store. But I love that of Batman, right? And again, it does have still even a more, I mean, it is comic books, but it does have that kind of feel. So I want to see that come into James Gunn's universe. And the other things too, and it's another one of the part of the anatomy of Batman is the Batmobile, right? Like, what's the Batmobile going to look like? Now, we have seen some very exotic ships, and we see that there's advanced technology in this universe with Gunn. So I want to believe that, because like I love the original, the OG Batmobile from the Michael Keaton version of Batman, right?
Yeah.
And all that. I love that Batmobile, but I also love the Tumbler because it just looks menacing and it looks realistic, because we were going for a more realistic Batman. But probably my hands down favorite is the animated series Batmobile. That's my OG. That's my go-to Batmobile. Now, I did love, like I said, I love the Tumbler. I did love the one in Batman v Superman or Batman v Superman. I thought that, I mean,
it was okay. It was it was like the Tumbler. I mean, it was kind of the same. It was close.
Yeah, I'll put it below the Tumbler, because I feel like the Tumbler made it more believable that thing could do those things.
Yes, I
versus
agree.
That one, you're like, dude, it's so small and kind of like, then like, how are you like taking all this fire and going through everything? What?
Like, it wasn't as detailed. When I look at the Tumbler, I'm like, in the scene in The Dark Knight when it gets kind of fucked up a little bit, but it switches and it turns into a bike, I'm like, oh, that could totally happen. I see how, like, mechanically, I see how that happens.
Well, yeah, they made it look realistic, right? Like,
that's cool.
Two front tires swat, and then boom, they go into that.
That's cool as shit.
Right now, you have the Robert Pattinson Batman, where it's just a muscle car. And to be fair, even in the animated series, if they go back, it's a couple episodes in where he meets Lucius Fox, and what he's driving is similar. It's just got like a big bat symbol on it, but it's kind of a muscly, shitty car. And he's like, hey, I need something cool. And that's where he makes the longer style Batmobile. So again, I like it, fits with it, but you need a good Batmobile. You need something that's going to be iconic, something that's going to, like, I want to see it comic booky. I want to see it doing things, but I don't want it to get like in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, where the damn thing looks like you're going to take it to a rave and it's just glowing. He's supposed to be the Dark Knight. Why is your car glowing blue? You can see it from 8 miles away. Why? No, he's the dark. It's all about stealth. So,
I'm with you. I like the OG one. The one from the animated series. Interestingly enough, it's like there's a full episode on this too, of the backstory of how he got the OG the original Batmobile. There's a full episode on it, because I want to say it's the Penguin tries to blackmail the guy who created his Batmobile for him, and then holds him hostage with his daughter. And
but that's what I'm talking about. Like, where Lucius Fox, like, where they pull up and he's in the shitty car. And
you see it looks like I don't even know. It's like because here's the thing. If you guys know, we keep referencing the animated series. The animated series feels like a 1930s, but somehow in the future city of Gotham.
It's 1930s, but it seems to be closer to the nowadays.
Yeah, it's weird. It's cool. Like, it's almost steampunk before steampunk, like, kind of. So the car he's driving, it's like, He even mentions it in that
This
episode.
looks like a 1930s type of car, right?
with the
But with the bat symbol on it.
like fucking
You know,
flex sealed on the front.
Like it
That's what
doesn't
looks
look like if you watch the Robert Pattinson one, it's a
No.
muscle car.
It's not like no.
The OG in the animated series, yeah, it looks like a fucking 30s like Studebaker. I don't even know if that was in the 30s, but
Yeah.
it looks like something like that. Like it looks like a normal car you'd see in the 30s, just with a
I
bat
want-
on the front or
I
a
like-
bat head on the front of it.
Yeah, I like and this is I mean, it's really the genius of Tim Burton did a great job of making comic book on screen. Like I know we talk about Superman being a comic book on the screen. The Tim Burton version of Batman feels like you're watching a comic book. The set pieces, the actual Batmobile looks awesome. It looks like it came straight off the comic book. I'm fine with something like that or the animated series. I didn't mind the Tumbler. I'm more retro-y with it. I would more prefer something bulky, big, stupid, obnoxious. It doesn't need to be 10 car lengths long, but it's fucking awesome that it is, right? Like I'm cool with that.
So I like the old Tim Burton original Michael Keaton, original Batman. I love that Batmobile. I love when Flash they brought it back. It was so iconic to see. That's a great Batmobile, right? Because I feel like that was a blended enough of reality versus what the animated series had, even though that was out before the animated series and all of that. So yes, I'd like it to stay comic booky. Now, because you mentioned it, it brings up the next point of the anatomy of Batman is the suit, right? Because we keep talking about the Tim Burton Batman. The suit obviously wasn't very practical. It didn't allow for a good movement. He couldn't turn his, and there's always jokes made about that he can't turn his neck, but it was like basically solid rubberish type of didn't even have Kevlar back then, or at least that they would mention it in the movies and stuff. So it wasn't functional. It looked badass, and when he did the cape, looked badass, but it wasn't functional. So then we go to the more current, and we're not even going to get started with the bat nipples, right? We're not counting any of that. We're lumping everything in together. It's almost like Superman. We don't count movies 3 and 4. It's same fucking thing, right? We're not counting movies 3 and 4 on that. But then we move into like Batman Begins. It's a very realistic, down to earth combat, type suit, right? That seems like it could be real. And then he's like, oh yeah, we put the electric current through and it makes if it's on a rigid skeleton structure, it could, it'll harden so he could do the gliding and all that other stuff. Okay. Then we see Batfleck's version that is very flexible and he's able to move and do crazy shit, but it's obviously taking bullets. I mean, he gets shot many times. Now, the interesting thing is, he got shot in the head. He gets shot other times, but right at the joint is where he gets stabbed, which we know is usually a weak point, even in The Dark Knight when he gets attacked by the dog. It's usually in the joint area because you got to have room to move. But the Batfleck suit seemed to be the strongest with the most flexibility of all of them. If we add them two together, then we get obviously the Robert Pattinson version, which
Cowl goes up. The cowl goes up.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just praying I hadn't heard you.
Again, he's starting out. He's still trying to figure shit out. So, what makes the best Batman? Because obviously we reference the animated series and comic books a lot, where it's just a suit, man. It is literally just a tight fitting kind of suit, and then he's got the belt. And I feel like the Batfleck version did the best because it looks like just a tight suit, but then they add all of the it's some kind of under mesh, that's bulletproof and pretty well stab proof. So what is the best suit?
Yeah, I would say I agree considerably with all that. The 3 and 4 suits out the window. Although the funny thing about those movies, I do enjoy like Gotham. I like the way like the big massive statues and the crazy shit that the set pieces that they had in Gotham. I like that. I think I think it's cool as shit. Now I could do without the fucking Ravy stuff. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know why they put that in there. Now, as far as the suits go, functionality, you're probably right. I think the older Batman makes sense that he's been able to improve his suit, more technology. That makes sense. The older Batman would have the best shit. Um, but as far as looks and not functionality, I like the OG bat suit. The one thing I don't like about Batfleck is the short ears. I want fucking pointy long ears on it. I like that. So if you could make a functional OG Michael Keaton bat suit where he didn't have to like fully turn his body, and was actually armor, because if you remember in Batman Returns, freaking what's her name, Selena Kyle straight up just fucking claws him with some fucking fake ass nails in his stomach, like punctured his fucking suit with them. Like, what the fuck is that? How are you fighting crime when you can get stabbed with some fucking fake ass claws?
Well, a couple of them broke off too,
Yeah.
right? Like how
Yeah,
strong?
he's pulling.
It's not like they're goddamn Wolverine
It's like rubber.
claws, you know. It's not
Yeah,
like
they weren't that
adamantium.
big. Yeah, they
No,
weren't even that
I will
big.
say too, referencing back to the Absolute Batman, he takes the cowl and he stabs somebody in the fucking face with it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they're a weapon.
Yeah, that's what I want. Like, I want the long pointy shit. Like, I want him. I want his suit to be functional and armor, that would make sense, not just rubber, right? Because that's essentially like, the Tim Burton. It was just rubber. That's all it was. There was no thought in getting. He was just hoping he didn't get stabbed. That's all that was, right? Or shot. That doesn't make sense.
In that though, in the original Batman, in
Yeah.
the original Tim Burton Batman, the very first people you see him go up against, they shoot him and he's laying on the ground, and they're like,
Oh, he's
got
dead.
body armor. And then he comes up because it didn't go through because it's so thick. But that suit's fucked now.
Yeah, I want the look of the OG with the functionality of the new. That's what I want. If you could merge that shit, that would be awesome. It's kind of like I said. I want the look of the OG old Batman Batmobile with the functionality of the fucking rockets and all the cool shit that you get with the new Tumbler and all that. If you could merge that together in a Batman character or bat suit and Batmobile, that's what I want from James Gunn's Batman. That's what I would want.
Well, and kind of wrapping up here, the good thing is we've seen that, right? Like I said, even with Batfleck's suit, now you can augment certain things, like if you need to make the cowl and have the ears more pointed and more prominent. But we've seen the regular flexibility, but also survive getting shot. In his helmet, obviously survive getting shot. There has to be something up there because, for those of you who haven't, now to be fair, I haven't either. Let me just full disclaimer on that. But even if you're wearing a Kevlar vest and you get shot in it, I mean, it takes your breath away, and not in the good way. Okay, like it
you
takes
still
your
get
breath
knocked
away.
down.
Like, yeah. It hurts and it'll bruise and things like that. So for him getting shot in the head in Batman v Superman, like, that either severely fucking hurt or he's got some newer age technology in there, which you got to believe it's Batman, so he does. But I want to see that. I want to see that hybrid, but stick with the OG classic, but then add the newer technology in there because it is in a current setting. I think can be very, very good.
I want the symbol too. I want it all. Like, I'm being very stingy with this because, like you said, Batman.
No. So there's the thing. I want the yellow and black symbol.
Yes.
Right?
That's
For
what
me.
I want. Yep. That's what I want too. I
will say this.
Yeah.
We're doing the Absolute Batman. I do not like the Absolute Batman symbol. Right?
Nope.
I don't like it.
I don't either.
The Dark Knight's fine. I love the OG yellow and black bat symbol. I kind of want that. Like, if I could have my perfect Batman, have the newer Batfleckish suit, fucking you can do whatever you need to the cowl and you can adjust it, but I need that symbol for me.
It's what's on the damn bat signal. It's what's on the bat signal. Like, that's what it is.
In the Dark, or in Batman Begins, when he initially did the signal, when he's got Carmine Falcone
on it. I get it.
It makes it look like it's not, and even in the Absolute universe, we've seen the symbols and stuff like it. It all mirrors whatever they're trying to make the symbol to be, but I kind of want that OG symbol.
I do,
but that's just me being greedy. Again, I don't think any of it. It's similar to Superman. I don't think any of it's going to get our perfect Batman. But there are so many different elements. Now, let us know what elements are key for you in a Batman? What do you need in your Batman? What's the most important thing? Let's say, like we've said here, that there's too much that you're asking too much from one individual to give you. So, what are your key? Like, what do you have to have, and what could you do without, or could you do with them? Maybe just kind of taking some liberties with. Let us know down in the comments. I'd
Yeah,
be
what's
very curious.
yeah, what's your perfect? And then okay, let's just say you got it's always like what is it on the things you got $5 or you got $10 to spend on a roster. This is how much a player of $3 costs, $2 and $1. Let us know if you had an ideal money wasn't an option. What's your perfect Batman? But if you had to like cut some,
If budget was an issue,
Yeah.
where do you say, dude, if we have to cut
That's okay.
budget, this is where I can deal with, right? Is it the Batmobile? Is it whatever? Let us know that, because I'm very curious, because again, I mentioned in a previous video when I read the comments and such, obviously I'm a bigger Superman fan, but I do love my Batman, right? But Superman's my OG. Call me lame if you want. It's cool. I'll accept that. But I realize how many of you actually love Batman. Mantis, he's more of a Batman fan than he is a Superman fan. So it'd be curious. I want to know this different perspective, because I always look at Superman as being the foundation and everything. And for a lot of you, that seems like it may not be the case. So I want to hear that different perspective, right? It's important. That helps me grow as a comic book person, because I'm like, oh shit, everybody doesn't agree with it's Superman.
And if it is the case that you think Batman is the best thing here, like, well, then this next iteration of Batman in the James Gunn DCU is a big fucking deal. So, because it is a big deal for those of you out there that believe that, what does he need to do here to make this successful then? Let us know.
Yeah. And what mistakes could he maybe avoid that maybe you think he made with Superman, right?
Yeah.
If you did. Now, if you loved it, I mean, I love the Superman movie. But if you didn't, what do you hope he avoids with Batman? Because it's coming.
It's coming. He's Batman.
And if you have made it with us this far, you might as well, while you're doing all of that and you're responding to what we said in the homework. I know it looks a lot worse, but we did a lot of, I'll cut this down way down. Consider giving the video a like.
He's right here. It's right there below the video.
It's below the bat belt, right? It's
here.
right below the utility belt. Subscribing, and then having the bell notification. Like, now, if you would like to see, like, as we say, it's a very long video right now, what we're looking at, but we're going to cut it way down, or somewhat down. If you would like to see the full uncut version of the video, go play a video game or something, dude. You do not want to see all the shit we're going to cut out of it, because it's pointless, right? You don't have a Patreon. You don't want to see what we cut out of it. I don't know why anybody would want to see what people cut out of it. There's a reason it was cut out.
Yeah.
Right. So, sorry, I had to throw that in there. Nobody's fucking watching now, anyways. And we're like, even when I cut out all the shit, we're like 30 minutes, and nobody is paying attention to what we're saying right now.
If you've made it this far, say the safe word in the comments below. Okay, that way we know who the true viewers are. Okay, now what is the safe word for this video? Is it going to be
pineapple?
Banana taco? What is it? Pineapple? Okay, pineapple.
We'll do pineapple. Say the safe word if you made it this far and you actually watched and you're like, God damn it, I can't stand these guys. So, all right, that is going to wrap it for it on this episode of You, Me, and DC, guys. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Later.
How the fuck was that 40-something minutes?
I don't know.